What's up, everybody? See if notifications go out. Got my hold on. I need to rearrange. Of course, the cat wants some.
Kitty, go on in.
All right. Need to move some things here. There we go. I got this tripod, but I'm looking at trying to get something that holds the phone for it, but can't seem to find anything. I guess I need to go to Amazon. See if notifications go out. There it is. There's notifications. Excellent. My plan is soon complete. Oh, I'll turn that down. Life Lord is almost first. I've been keeping notes on what I want to talk about on the tubes, whether it be this channel or the other. Yeah, we can talk about a few things. You got notified? Good deal. So did I. I just now got notified. We got our coffee. This is from the Sanctuary. We Are Metal, We Are Family website. Isn't that awesome? I love that logo. When I had the Snorelord logo made, I used that one and the apnea logo as an example, because the artist that did the apnea logo, he didn't want to do anything. I don't think he does anything in that realm anymore. And he performed pretty much a miracle to make that logo, the apnea logo. Because what he did was, we had a guitar player that wasn't in the band very long, but he was an artist, and I kind of gave him a rough sketch of what I wanted for a logo, and then he did another rough sketch a little bit better than mine. And our bass player took it to his brother-in-law, and next thing you know, we got this computer-generated logo that looked killer. I mean, and he did 2 or 3 album covers for us. I want to say he did 2. He did In the Darkness, and then he did Tainted Purity. So he did 2, because I did all the other albums. My dad was a master at Adobe, which was kind of a cheaper version of the full-blown Photoshop. And he taught me a few tricks, and he actually made an album cover for me. And then I know this is all exciting, right? This is riveting. And then I became a master at it, and then the wife became good at it as well. And she made Apnea's first album cover. I took the picture when she bought her first house. There was a noose in the garage. and so I took like a spooky looking picture of it, and then she made it into the album cover. And then from there on out, I think I did the rest of the album covers. And then after, because I couldn't count on any artists. You know, you go to an artist and say, hey, here's what I want. Create this for me. I will pay you. And it took me 16 years to find an artist. Well, other than the 2 albums that are old bass players brother-in-law did. It took us, um, it took us quite a while, and so I just did it myself. And then the last album, the Great Ruiner, we actually hired a guy named Carl Dahmer, who is infamous in the death metal world, and he's actually related somehow. I don't know if it's cousins or what of Jeffrey Dahmer, but I don't know if that's a story or not. But he lives in Kansas City. Great artist, and he did our last album cover, and then Paige from a band called Vor, he did the Photoshop with our logo and everything. So, but anyways, this logo was an inspiration for the Snorelord logo, as well as the Apnea logo. So, and I've sold 3 hats. So, cheers to you people that bought hats. Thank you very much. I should be getting mine soon, and that way I can see if they're worth the darn. If they are, then I'll promote it a little bit heavier. You got to try your own product, right? You know, so I know the shirts are good quality. I know the mugs are good quality. And I ordered a few things. I ordered their stickers. That was probably a waste of money, but we'll see what that looks like. But I should probably, I make guitar picks and no one cares. so I've got a bag full of guitar picks that cost me a little bit of money. But hey, what are you going to do, right? If you're a member, shoot me an address and email in the description on the other channel, and I'll send you a pic. CB, the hoodie. You got the hoodie? Wow. Or did you get it, or are you just looking at it? I think you got it, didn't you? I think I checked Teespring, the analytics, yesterday, and I finally hit my $100 threshold of profit that they'll send you a check. I finally hit that, so. But anyways, let's give some shout outs. Wheelburner, what's up? Tennessee Trucking, Wife Lord, almost first. Tennessee Trucking and greetings. Desert Okie Pan, good morning. Wheelburner got notified. CB says Indiana to Utah today. That's a fun run. Straight down 70 for a minute, and go up to 29, up to go into Lincoln and flip people off, and then go down 80, and then you always lose phone signal when 80 starts to go north, and then you hope that it's not windy. You hope that no one wipes out, and then next thing you know, you go down the cereal bowl, and boom, you're in Salt Lake. I remember that run quite a bit. It was a fun run that I had. Just right in the Ozarks, good morning. Hello from Tremendicon. Draco, yes. How's your tooth feeling? Your mom just notified me of that. I hope you're feeling good. No straws and soft foods, fat and protein heavy. And you won't have to eat. No sugar. Sugar hurts the healing process. You do wear it. It's your favorite hoodie. Awesome. I haven't gotten the Snorelord hoodie. I had a subscriber send me one from Maryland that I wear on occasion, and it was a 2X, and he said, I know you can't wear a 2X right now, but it's for your future self. Well, I can fit in it now, so that's kind of nice. 2X shirts are still kind of, I don't know. And then I have a hoodie from my old company that I got that's actually a 4X, and I'll wear that around the house when it's cold. But I usually, if I do a hoodie outside, it's usually just it's a zip-up hoodie. I think zip-up hoodies with the logo on the front kind of looks weird. So, Jerome, you're feeling sluggish. There you go. Wife Lord says, hey kiddo, if you see Keith or Decker out there, tell them I said hi. I think you know both those guys. Kitty Craze with Dar. Dar loves the new Wife Lord name. Well, take a picture of it, because I don't think she intends on keeping it. Because because outside of the circle, like, why does this person think that they're the Lord of Wives? so 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 I think I think it's short for this world. So, but she did it because Sterling paid me on a super chat. So, I bought some baby food today. My standard Aleve is more than enough for the pain. I'm only taking the antibiotics they have prescribed me. Good deal. Anytime you can avoid true pain narcotics, the better. I hate taking anything. I don't even like taking Tylenol at this point. I don't think I've had Tylenol in like a couple of years. I'll do Advil. I'll do some aspirin, but that's it. That's all I'll do. Um, so if you guys don't have anything you want to bring up to talk about, I can come up with a couple of things. First of all, on the other channel, I should be cutting up some live feeds and posting them within the next 2 weeks. So prepare to see a lot more notifications from me. And then I'm trying to get the watch time up. I guess you only need 500 watch hours. And then I'll have to probably delete my firearm videos, so YouTube will monetize this channel as well. We should be doing a book report soon. I talked to DIY Semi. He's in the truck right now, so I don't know when we'll get to the book report, but I just finished that book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and it's been really good. The last chapter about black swan events is incredibly powerful. And I misspoke, I guess, yesterday. I was talking about the meaning of black swans, and my wife was like, well, you know, I thought it meant this. I'm like, well, yeah, actually, I think you're actually right. And so, but I think my translation of that was maybe possibly accurate as well. So, I guess I'm trying to find positive ways to trigger positive triggers for behavior, right? So I've been trying to teach that to the kids. I mean, I say kids, one's 21, the other one's 18, but the ones that live with us, then Draco, she's 31, so yes, I'm old, I know. I think of the end game, and I think a lot of times that we're so caught up in the moment that we forget the end game. And so, like, if you want to walk around the truck stop for exercise, if you sit there and like, oh, it's so hot and it's dangerous because everybody's driving like a bat out of hell, and man, it's going to smell like urine, and man, I don't think I could do this. I'd rather just watch TikTok for the next 3 hours. You're not thinking of the end game. Whereas afterwards, like if you think of it afterwards, how do you feel afterwards? Well, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You feel a sense of, I don't know. There's probably some dopamine in there. You're feeling a sense of accomplishment. And so I try to focus on things like that. You know, I've gotten out of my workout routine. The wife has been better about that. I've gotten out of it. So I'm kind of a hypocrite. So just know that I still struggle with these things. But when it comes to chores around the house, or it has to do with the truck, like a lot of times when I'm invoicing drivers for the dispatch service, I tend to drag my feet on that. But yesterday it felt good to have it done by yesterday afternoon because all the loads were picked up, and so there wasn't going to be any more surprises. So I went ahead and invoiced everybody. I I've been keeping a notebook every day of everything I've accomplished, and then I've also side by side I keep notes of what I want to accomplish, kind of like a to-do list. But it makes it sound cooler if you call it a battle plan, um, to conquer the day. It's a battle plan to conquer the day. You know, um, and that seems to help. Because I deal with depression, I deal with lack of motivation, I deal with procrastination, I deal with, Friday nights and Saturday nights are my biggest urges to drink, and I still alcohol free since Matt's. Um, Even though we've had a couple of drinking holidays. Um, the fasting is kind of slowed down. I'm back to like 16, 18 hours. Um, I need to get back to the 24 and 36s. And that's another one of those things when you're fasting, you get this wave of hunger and you have to just ride the wave. You have to think of the end game, right? And the accomplishment when I hit end fast on the phone app is a small little dopamine rush that makes you go, yeah, man, that was kind of cool. And so we're all triggered emotionally by the things that we see, like on our TikToks and our YouTube shorts and in our videos and our, and all that stuff. And so if you're digesting a lot of negativity, if you're digesting a lot of toxic things, like, and you could feel it, right? So yesterday I was on Twitter, which is, I don't get on Twitter every day, and I tweet like maybe twice a month. And it's just something dumb and random, right? It's no philosophical thing. It's usually just retweeting somebody else. Because, it's hard to have an original thought these days. And I came across this channel. What was that one fighting channel? Gold Star or whatever? It was something to that nature. And so I watched all these Twitter, like, people fighting out in the streets or in restaurants, and people losing their minds, and after about 20 minutes I realized, it's like, man, I feel stupid. I feel ugh, like I just took motor oil and just gouged it into my face, and I'm like, that probably wasn't good for me to consume, right? So now on Instagram, I made an effort to follow like positive, stoic, not that toxic positivity. Look at, I have a cat. These deep thoughts, with the picture of the beach and like some philosophy that, screw all that, right? And I'll tell you why, but but more like you want to hear, you want to see someone succeed. Like, there's a lot of martial arts channels, even though I'm not a martial arts person. I'm still working on trying to be better than, so I can fight my way out of a paper bag at one point. But it's cool to see people accomplish these feats. That's the kind of things you want to ingest when it comes to this social media stuff. What I mean by toxic positivity is you have these people that are like, I'm empowering you, and you need to be conquering the day, and you need to be doing this, that, and life is a series of choices and adrenaline rush and this, that, And what happens is, see, even outside, I still have to deal with the cats, right? What happens is if you're not feeling the emotion of motivation, which that's what motivation is, it's an emotion, then all it does is make you feel even worse. Think about this. If you have low confidence, if you have low self-confidence, you're feeling sorry for yourself and you got this victim mentality, then all of a sudden this guy's yelling at you at TikTok with his face up to the camera and he's telling you how you can be power and empowering and motivated and blah blah blah. It's a turnoff. So you don't hear the message. You're like, I'm not in the mood. Just like showing up at a comedy club after a close person to you dies. You know, it's like you don't do that, right? You don't go from a funeral to the comedy store, right? There's a time and place for every emotion. Now, motivation is good if you're willing to accept it. But sometimes your mind's like, dude, I'm not going there, man. I want to sit here and sulk and listen to this band called My Dying Bride and flip off the world and hope that it rains and just sit here and soak in this for a minute. The last thing you want is some dude yelling at you thinking that, you know, you need to get off your butt and be motivated, you know. And the internet algorithms will embrace that. They'll be like, oh, this guy is unmotivated, so let's give him TikToks and videos of you know how you're an introvert and how you're a goth and how you're jaded in life and how you're a lone wolf and oh, here's a couple of videos of these cutesy chicks, you know, dancing, and then let's mix it up with some really weird or gross thing and something that's supposed to inflict fear, you know, that kind of thing. And next thing you know, you're in this endless cycle, you're in this endless circle of filth. You're in this, how did Trent Reznor put it? You're in this empire of dirt. Sit upon your porcelain throne and look at the vast empire of dirt that you've created. Meanwhile, the minute that you go outside, look at a bird or one of the cats running around the yard, and you hear the birds, and you feel the fresh air, and the sun's beating on you, going, hey man, today's a good day. Be grateful that you're alive. Then you're more willing to accept those kind of messages, as long as they're not yelling at you. You know, a lot of people don't like to be yelled at. Ask any drill sergeant. Let the cat out. That's it. They go in for like a minute and then they come back out. Let's see. I only take an Advil and I really have to be suffering. That's how I am. If you look in our cupboard, we don't have anything, LOL. Is this high def because I got you up on the big screen? That's a scary thought. So if you got me on the big screen, there's my eyes. There you go. There you go, Dave. Here's some good news. If I read it correctly, apparently some head honcho in the Netherlands is being forced out, and he was one of the main guys trying to confiscate farmland. That's good if true. The same guy confiscating farmland also wanted to restrict immigration. That's why he resigned. Anyone happen to be going to Great Falls, Montana later next week? I need to get back there. My truck blew the radiator on Tuesday when I went to get that chicken load. Oh wow, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. You need to get to Montana? So was he forced out to allow more immigration? That's a different from what I thought. Orion, what's up? Nom 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 motor oil. No, he turned his resignation to the king. Okay, so you guys are talking that stuff. SST, what's up? The Netherlands is a mess. Yes, I agree. Bull of the Woods, what's up? I've started a new positive vibe activity. I leave a single dollar bill in random public places with "Today's your day" written on black Sharpie. CB, that is awesome, dude. That's. What are you doing? Cat sitting on the grill, like meowing at the wife, who's obviously in the window. Okay. CB, that's awesome. What we do is we keep bottled water in our vehicles, and I do this in the truck as well. And when I do come across somebody homeless with the sign, we always judge those people, or people have a tendency to judge those people, but some are legit, some aren't. But regardless, I give them a bottle of water. If every act of kindness kind of makes them think, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, if that's what they're doing is taking advantage of people, then so be it. If they truly need it, then they have it. So that's kind of what we do. It's not $1, but it's definitely, but I might do that. I might start doing that. That's pretty cool. I like that, CB. You seem like a good person, man. See, everybody's agreeing. Bull of Woods, he's been generous, man. He gave me a hat. It's a pretty nice hat. He generally wants to see people do well, so I respect him for that. Even though I don't understand his YouTube channel whatsoever. Um, but yeah, so that's Saturday mornings are kind of a mixed bag for me. Usually that's when I'm doing my invoicing. And then the wife's out at the church garden doing that, but today it rained like cats and dogs last night. In fact, I'm looking at a tree branch that's down now. And then I've made a promise to myself that I would accomplish something on a Saturday morning while the wife was out doing the garden thing. So usually that means yard work around the house or clean up a corner of the house or whatever. So like this back porch definitely needs some work. I need to grab the power washer. We got an electric power washer, if you can believe that. I didn't think that you should mix water and electricity, but it seems fairly safe. And this back porch is definitely due for it. So, and I bought an extra leaf blower. I got a leaf blower in the truck, but I also bought a new one for the house, and that one's powerful. I don't know if it's popular or not. So, West Memphis OC breakfast, not worth the 35% I give up. I've never had it there. I had the one in Indy and the one in Dallas, which I don't know if that particular family moved to the new yard there in, oh, what's the name of it's right there almost by P&G. What I hate is that little heart icon that blocks the last comment. I think that's dumb. They're like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go, you're gonna go like this. You're gonna, don't want to block somebody. You're gonna like, let's give the hearts, yeah, because we're 15. Lower pressure does less damage, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, probably all I need to do is just clear out some of the stuff. We got like camping stuff out here. I've got my grill. The grill needs to be washed and wiped out. And then, we got a bunch of stuff from my mom that I haven't been able to throw away yet. So, but another YouTube failure. Well, they at least now, when you comment on a short, it at least shrinks it up. You're not having to like move yourself from the screen. So Um, unless you're looking to repaint the house. We have vinyl siding, so and we have to spray down the sides facing north because of mold. I have like I've got a 5x8 cargo trailer right here that's got mold on it, and I need to get that mold off. It's not good for it. Well, all three of my trailers I have here at the house need to have their lights rewired. The rabbits and the squirrels get in there and they chew up the wires, or the wires get old, and I have to get them rewired eventually. I've always been on the fence of selling this 5x8 cargo trailer. It was the band trailer, so it's about 10 years old, I think. Um, I haven't used it in a while. I did take it to a car wash to spray off the mold, um, but yeah, I just need to take the power washer. So if we're not careful, we have to take the mold. And there's a low pressure. You know, there's the one that you can use for your car or whatever. It's the same setting. Do not power spray your hand. I learned that lesson the hard way. That was probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done. Let's see, SSD. Oh, Josh Vegan, what's up? Howdy, y'all. Um, but yeah, that's what I mean by toxic. So I try not to be that. Like people like Steve, you've been inspiring, blah blah, and that's really weird to me because I know what I'm dealing with, depression wise, and trust me, my depression has gotten 100 times better since I've changed my diet. And if I go off a little bit, like like we were on our way to a local show last week, and we had to have a last minute change of plans on dinner, so we just hit McDonald's, and I just got two triple cheeseburgers with, and I didn't take the bun off, right, because I didn't want my hands to be messy. Well, I unwrapped the paper, and it's like they made the cheeseburger, put in the bun, and then they dropped it all over the grill and then put it in the package. So I was so mad. But I felt kind of blah after that. And usually after a holiday, if I've partaken in any kind of sugary treat, you know, not too bad, not too much, it will affect my mood. So I know that there's a direct connection of food and depression. So which one causes the other, that's yet to be determined. But I definitely feel different if I'm not eating what I normally eat. So, but let's see, what else do I have in my notes for this channel. This is all Snorelord big channel crap. At some point I wrote down hope versus despair. Regret is the rearview mirror. I fight that one too. I fight a lot of regret. There's a part of me that actually regrets becoming a truck driver. I enjoy the job. I enjoy driving. I enjoy the trucks. What I do not enjoy is the colossal waste and lack of respect for my time. And my kids were fairly younger. When I started driving, and I regret. Now I was pretty blessed. Okay, with this regret, there's some gratitude. I was home every other weekend. There was only one Thanksgiving I missed. That was the first year. I've never missed a graduation. I've never missed a big school event. I did miss some soccer games that my son had when he was very little. He probably doesn't even remember. Um, and I think my son was 9 when he started riding with me in the truck, and that was awesome. That was awesome. But what I do regret is that I wasn't there. You know, we can sit there and say, well, like my wife made a good point one time when I was thinking about going to a day cab job hauling fuel that a friend of mine had just gone and done. And he was working third shift, barely gets everything done in the 14-hour window, shares the truck with the day shift guy. It was very difficult for him to get a day off for a doctor's appointment or anything like that. That's why he did the third shift. But he literally would go home, eat, sleep, wake up, have a cup of coffee, eat, and then go to work. He had no social life. He had no freedom. And my wife made the point. It's like, well, you're going to go back to the pattern that you were when you were welding, 16 hours a day. Well, it wasn't that bad. It was 10 to 12 hours a day. I think we did 12-hour shifts. And you actually have more flexibility now than you did back then. So, but what I always felt bad about was if my wife was dealing with a sick kid or something major was going on at home and I was 1,000 miles away, it really tore at me. Here I am doing my 34. I'm in my sleeper watching football, eating crap that wasn't good for me. My wife would call and I could tell that she was stressed. I could tell that the kids were on her nerves, and she was, and she's trying to clean house and she had no joy. I think sometimes, and you feel helpless. And then you show up at a customer, like a shipper or receiver, and then they make you sit for 5, 6, 8 hours. And it's like, what can I be accomplishing? I did not make good use of my time. And that goes to the social media thing, right? So I wasn't on Facebook a whole lot back then. It took about 2 or 3 years of trucking before I even got a smartphone. I did not know, I didn't bring any books with me. Of course, I wouldn't stay awake to read them anyways. I didn't work out. I just ate. And watched YouTube videos, I think, maybe. That was after the smartphone. Talk on the phone. I didn't make good use of my time out there. So if you're driving, get that Audible subscription. Subscribe. Get the Spotify Premium and get a hold of their podcasts. And just listen to these things that could benefit you. You're behind the wheel 8 to 10 to 11 hours a day. Occupy your mind. Try. Looking back, that was the biggest regret, was the colossal waste of time, and that time partially was away from my kids. So some of the struggles we have today is because maybe I wasn't the best father figure, because I wasn't here. If you look at a lot of these predominantly poor neighborhoods and the lack of fathers, I think that's what's creating a lot of the issues that are making these larger cities violent and uninhabitable. And and so I have huge regrets when it comes to that. but I tried the best. You know, that's how I compensate. Is I tried my best with what I knew. Right? Don't beat yourself up. I don't beat myself up anymore. And that was part of my weight gain. I think that subconsciously, when I reached almost 400 pounds, I was beating myself up. And I don't do that anymore. You know, you don't scold a goldfish for not knowing how to walk, right? So you only know what you know. But one thing that I wish I was more aware of was time, because you can't get that back. Money can buy you a clock, but it can't buy you time. It can buy you that nice fancy watch that looks cool, but it can't buy your years back that you missed out with your kids. So, um, yeah. So there's a lot of books that I read now that I wish I would have read 10, 15 years ago, or even 20 years ago. Because 30 years ago, I wouldn't have listened. I was a stubborn teenager, like we all are. Jeff's in the house. Shannon's in the house. Um, your family is blessed. We're trying. We are. We are. Um, but it's also been a blessing that I've been home as well. So it's allowed me to help with situations that I'm glad my wife didn't have to take on by herself. Not that she is very capable of taking on everything that we've dealt with by herself, but she doesn't have to, and that for that I'm truly grateful. Right. Be grateful. A lot of drivers lost their entire families, marriages, and children driving trucks. SST, I've witnessed that firsthand with very close friends of mine. You know, people that would make fun of me for not running that hard, or not making as much money as they had, and the next thing you know, their health, their mental health, their physical health, their marriage, they're all shot, right? They're all gone. Um, and they're still left in debt and penniless. You know, I've at least, knock on wood, have avoided those pitfalls. You know, I was having a conversation with Shannon about, don't miss out on these grandkids' lives, because you won't get that time back. So you need to fix your business and situate it to where you'll be able to have the perfect balance of money and home time, which is possible. It is possible. It takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of finagling. It takes a little bit of sacrifice, but it can be done. And to his other comment, there's a bunch of ex-wives and estranged children that couldn't or wouldn't embrace trucking. That is absolutely true. My parents survived their marriage through trucking. We've survived. Don't get me wrong, we've had our hardships in the past, but we're stronger now than we've ever been with the marriage. But it definitely takes a special kind of spouse to put up with that. It really does, because that spouse, especially if they're a parent, they're essentially become single. They become a single parent. Regardless if you're gone every other week, or if you're gone 3 weeks at a time, or gone a month at a time. For those of you that have families and you're gone 3 months at a time, you're gonna regret that. I will flat out declare that you will regret that. If you don't have family, then you might enjoy that, unless you got your family with you. I know a couple of drivers that homeschool their kids, so they got their kid with them, or they got their wife that rides with them. That's great, but to be gone 3 months, 6 months at a time, which I've heard, what's crazy to me is that people will be gone 6 months and still not make any money. I believe they call that what do they call that, slavery. And it's such a colossal waste. It's such a colossal waste. It's not the jobs that causes divorces, it's the people. Sometimes it could be the job, but you definitely have to have the right mindset. If your job requires you to be gone a year at a time, it takes a pretty strong will to, like military spouses. It takes a pretty strong will to accept that and be dedicated to that. Kins cracked the whip on Grandma, and now she can make Kins shopping. I dropped her off on Thursday. There you go. The longest I've ever been gone is 4 weeks, but now I try to keep it under 2 weeks. Wheel burner, that's my limit too. I was out as a company driver. I think there was one time I was out for 3 weeks, and that was only because I requested it, because I had like 4 or 5 days I needed off around one of our shows. And then when I first started at Landstar, I was a month behind on everything because I did not compensate for the fact that there would be a loss of revenue. And so I had to stay out a month to catch everything up. And my wife and I decided that that was the limit, and that we needed to make sure that wasn't a necessity. Like, to do it every now and then is fine, but to do that out of necessity, like, I know there's so many lease operators out there that will tell you that they can't afford to go home, because when they do, they it takes them 2 or 3 weeks to catch up. And to me, that's like, that blows my mind that someone will put themselves in that position. Now, that's me. If that's what floats your boat, then cool, good on you, man. But that ain't me, man. You can call me a non-trucker all you want, but that is not me. My dad did that the first couple of years he was an owner-operator. But then, towards the end of his career, he was a company driver, working for a private fleet. Never even bumped docks, man. He just drop and hook. He'd go from here to Florida and back. That's all he would do. Warehouse to warehouse, drop and hook. He left on Sunday, was home by Thursday. He did his fishing on Friday and Saturday, did his computer stuff, and then he went back on the road Sunday or Monday. Homeless is what that is, right? She made you truck for those toys you're going to buy. Yeah, don't spoil them grandkids too much, Shannon. I know somebody that's doing that, and they're probably regretting it right now. 2 or 3 weeks is the exception. I've now got it that I'm home every week for the most part. And your situation's probably different. You probably don't choose where you go like we do, like I do. But I found that to maximize home time and revenue, 10 days. You leave on Monday, leave on Sunday or Monday. This is working out of Missouri now, mind you, not Montana, not Utah, not Southern Florida. This is working a rock's throw from I-44. You leave out Sunday or Monday, and then you come home. Then you work the entire week, work over the weekend, work some recaps Wednesday and Thursday, and come home Thursday and have a 3-day weekend. That's kind of how I played things when I had the perfect balance. At Schneider, that was a lot easier because of the drop and hook scenario, especially if there was freight in the area. The spot market, you got to be a little bit more creative because you're not dropping the trailer. So so you got to pick that long load for the weekend, or pick a semi-long one so you can get a restart in by Monday, and then Thursday you're ready to come home. You've maximized your revenue and you're good to go. That's kind of how I did things. and still would if I was still running. STT, we are blessed with the business partners we have, and great things are on the horizon. I could routinely do 5 to 6 weeks out when regulations were different years ago before I got married. You got that right, Snorelord. Of course I'm right, Jeff. Don't ever doubt me. I mean, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the compliment. But well, to me, time is your biggest, most expensive commodity. Because if you were diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, what would you do with your time? What would you do with that? Where would you spend as much time on TikTok? Would you spend as much time on YouTube? Would you be making the most of your days if you had a terminal illness? You know, you got to think of your mortality, right? And you got to think of, and so, I don't know, it's, when you think along those lines, a lot of these things that make us upset, that make us triggered, that makes us do, you know, YouTube videos, it doesn't matter anymore. Like if someone's fighting for their life and death, if they're fighting life and death, the last thing they want to do, the last thing they should want to do, is listen to me rant on about the one, you know, about the spot market and looking at the 123 low board, because that's probably extremely insignificant for them. And I've had not one but two people call me, and you know, when they knew I was getting discouraged with the YouTube thing, which I haven't been that discouraged here lately. I've had a couple of moments, but I soldier through it because of people that call me and say, "Hey Steve, I'm literally getting chemo right now and your videos are keeping me occupied. Thank you very much." Or I've had people in the past say, "Dude, your music means a lot to me. There's a great friend here in Springfield that looks at me like I would look at like somebody like James Hetfield of Metallica." I mean, which blows my mind. And I try not to let that get to my head, but when you have people singing your lyrics that you possibly wrote on a Waffle House napkin because you got inspired from the minute, and they're singing the lyrics, and you're on the stage and you're seeing that, and you're seeing people just get their aggression out and get their outlet out, and I become a positive, my music becomes a positive outlet for them. That is an empowering feeling. That makes you feel good. That makes you feel like you're worth something. It makes you feel like you matter, you make a difference. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it does. We're so insignificant when it comes to the universe. And so you just add to the positive energy. Whatever religion you believe in, whatever God you pray to, be a part of the positive side of that. Be a part of the hope that humanity needs in these dark days. That you know, are these days dark? It depends on your perspective. I'm sure there's a millionaire right now on his boat going, "Ain't no dark days." You know, meanwhile, there's a homeless person that you can give them $10 and it will completely change their entire day. And strength for today, hope for tomorrow, right? That's kind of what my mantra's been. And prepare for the worst, you know, be a warrior in a garden, you know, kind of a deal, and just try to enjoy all the small moments in life, because you're not getting them back. The moments that Shannon had with her grandkid on the truck, it was so, like last weekend when she was live, she had I gave them their first super chat, and man, both their eyes lit up. It was so awesome. That made me feel good. You know, the same feeling that CB gets by leaving random dollar bills, right? Be the change, right? And it was so entertaining. You know, people got tickled with that. So other super chats followed. And listening to the granddaughter giggle and laugh and listening to both of them just banter back and forth. And I knew, see, here's the thing with that. I knew from both sides of that perspective because as a kid, I rode with my dad. That's why I became a truck driver because I cherished those memories, right? But then also as the adult, cherishing the memories. I remember I was always worried about some of the negativity entering the cab of the truck when I had my son with me, and I remember like I had to keep the CB really kind of low to make sure that no one was cursing too much and you know what, there was several drivers that would get on the CB like, man, it looks like your boy's having a good time, and like, yeah, he is, and people enjoyed seeing a father dad combo out on the road because maybe that's where their roots came from. And so seeing Shannon and her grandkid interact, I knew both those perspectives. So it was great to have the good time, to see that good time, right? One of my Facebook memories that popped up just the other day because my son always rode with me in the summertime was I'd bought him a couple of these toy trucks and they had a wreck. They had a wreck on the bunk there, and I took a picture. I said, "Massive truck wreck." you know, um, just little stuff like that, and he'll always cherish those memories. In fact, he approached me the other day about wanting to become a truck driver, and I did not discourage him. I did encourage him to go maybe possibly local or a company that will help him get a CDL, like a FedEx or a UPS or something like that. Um, but I said if you're going to do OTR, it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and if you're up for that challenge, I will help you. But so he's flirting with the idea, but mainly because and so I cherish those positive memories, and it kind of counteracts the regret of the lost time I've had with him and with my daughter. So, you know, yeah, that was so Jeff says that's why we have a writer program. And that was important to me in the beginning of my career. And I remember when I went to Landstar, I asked out of the blue, "Hey, what's your writer program?" Because it didn't dawn on me that I didn't think that Landstar had a writer program. Because I'm an owner operator. You can't tell me what to put in my truck, who I can put in my truck, right? And not knowing what I know now. And they're like, yeah, they got to be 18. I'm like, that's going to be a problem. And here we are halfway through orientation. He goes, well, Steve, here's how Landstar will do it. Do about a year, and they'll be lenient. How old's your kid? And I told him, I think at the time he was 13, 14. He's like, all right, they shouldn't have a problem. And he did. I think he went. I don't know if he went with me in that truck or not. He did go with me in that truck, but I was at Schneider at that point. I remember I've got pictures of. We were at a hotel there in, Illinois. I want to say Beloit, the Illinois side of Beloit. There was a hotel that we got because I needed a restart. And so it's like, well, I'm not going to make this kid sit in this cab of the truck for a whole 34. Screw that, right? So we got a hotel. But belly dump pilots of construction work. That's very random. I have no idea what you're talking about. Home time is the most expensive thing in trucking. That's a good point, SSD. That's really good. From a financial end, it costs me more every weekend to turn the truck off than it does to run and earn money. I'm here to tell you that my cost per day is pretty freaking high right now. Yeah, you met my son at the Indy terminal. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was probably the same. It was probably the same. I was in the black truck, wasn't I? Jeff. I remember the chick running the grill at the Indy yard. She was tickled to death with him. She loved him. Dump lots of road construction. Will Burner, pretty sure I've seen you yesterday. Says Butch. Yeah, it was in the black truck. Yep. So that was the same. That was the same trip where we got the hotel. Because what I ended up doing is I ended up taking a load to this customer, dropped the trailer, picked up an empty, and then I had a live load at the bean place there in Illinois. And literally like a block from that hotel, a block from that customer, was a hotel. So we stayed in the hotel. It was pretty cool. I view my road warrior trucking as being in service to others instead of slavery to others. It's perspective, right, CB? And that's a great way to look at it. You seem to have a pretty positive perception. You know, you've been generous, and you've been supportive, and I'm grateful for you. That you seem to have a handle on things. I mean, from what I can tell from this point of view. Team drive with your son, Snorelord. Snorelord and Son Trucking, right? Look, that was one of my intentions when I became owner operator, was that if my son wanted to drive, that I would put him in the truck, right? And at one point I had a vision of having my own authority and then having my son sign on to my authority. But knowing what I know now about insurance and all that, that would not be a great idea, because the insurance costs. And granted, I wholeheartedly believe that somebody should be driving 3 to 4 years before they decide to be an owner operator. I don't think you would want to be an owner operator. But I could be assuming, because there was a point where that wasn't even on his radar to drive a truck. My son enjoys going with me as well. Yep, you're one of the ones I was thinking about when I was talking about, you know, people at homeschool and they got their son riding with them. You know, and I hope that you're keeping them out of the negativity. You know, like you know, if I had my son in my truck, I definitely wouldn't have Zello on. So, you know, and just try it, you know, and I would be doing, like, my son has gone all the way with me to Salt Lake City. He's been to Phoenix with me. He's been to Maine with me. He's got a lot of miles under his belt. I still got the kids cup from Dryden, Maine, you know, that I got him. He was so happy for me because the first time he went to Phoenix was the first time I had gone to Phoenix since I had left there. Since we moved here in '86. And so I was like happy, and he was so happy that I was happy, you know, and it was a very cute trip. Even though, and we went and visited my sister, we got to go swimming and all that, but even though my APU went out, because it's a Thermo King, Thermo Kings are junk, and so we had to go to the Kenworth dealership to have them turn off the anti-idle, because the shop managed to not be able to do that. So I can idle the truck, because I don't care what laws are in place, but I am not letting my kid and I sit in a 120 degree truck in the middle of a Phoenix summer over some stupid law. And so there was no issue, you know. But it was such a great trip. But then he's been all the way to Maine, you know. When I was a company driver, we would go up to Maine. We had a drop and hook customer up there. We would drop a trailer, and we'd pick up either plastic utensils that went back to Indiana. Actually, that's what we did. We had to drop a trailer at Bass Pro, We went all the way to Maine to pick up our last empty trailer because we were picking up a loaded trailer of plastic utensils that went to the caves in Independence, Missouri. So he got to ride in a cave. He's been in a cave a couple of times with me in the truck, and he liked that. So he has some really positive memories of truck driving. Now, team driving, that's not going to happen. I, I, I might be able to team drive with my wife, but that's it. I'm not a team driver kind of guy. A husband and wife maybe, but now I wouldn't mind training him. You know, I would like to personally train him. You know, he was talking about going to one of these bigger companies that give you your CDL. I said, well, if you do that, I know a trainer. I'm going to have to request that person because I don't trust anybody else. So, but he's not fully on board with the idea yet. I told him to get a Class B and see how he liked it. See if he wanted to graduate up to the Class A. So, I wish I was joking. Steve should absolutely jump his son in the seat and run team. Beautiful day today, says Dave. It is, man. It's pretty nice. Did you guys get a bunch of rain over there in your part of the woods? Yeah, my training would be essential. Look, I try to keep my ego in check as much as I can, which is hard sometimes because I'm awesome. But joke, right? Anyways, but I am a good trainer. You know, one of the people I trained went on to become the safety manager at another trucking company. I've made some really good friendships with the people I've trained. I've done well teaching these kids to drive. I didn't get a chance to teach my oldest daughter to drive. I didn't get a whole lot of time with that because I was truck driving at the time she was ready to drive, or 16 or whatever. But I give them a perspective that, you know, that's the thing. I grew up with a different perspective of driving because of what being, look, when I rode in the truck, 90%, well, all of the time that I was in a truck with my dad, I was in a cab over. You don't tailgate in a cab over, right? You just don't. You don't have that barrier of you don't have that barrier in front of you. The last truck my dad drove was a T600, you know, which those are smaller hoods, but I was always in a cab over, so I had a different perspective. And so when I went through driver's ed in high school, I was one of the safer, better drivers because of what I'd learned just riding with my dad, right? Shannon says I am awesome. I agree. Yeah, and yeah, wife Lord is pointing out she helped. My wife is a very good driver as well. And this is not me kissing her ass. She has never had a ticket, ever. She's never had a ticket. She is a safe driver, and so she did quite a bit in helping because I was still driving when the kids were learning to drive. You know, because nowadays you have to have so many hours, right, behind the wheel, and she was definitely a big part of that. I might have been a little bit too intimidating. She was less intimidating. I thought you haven't had a ticket. Yeah, for sure. But if he does catch or hear some of that negative stuff, I use it to teach him how some others deal with people and stress. That not everybody has morals, and the world is not all roses. That's a good way to do it. That's a good teaching moment. I agree with that. That's pretty cool. Um, be a positive influence, right? It is an awkward changing britches with another fella in a cab over. Yeah, having to lay down the change of pants. The the Whenever we slept at the same time, my dad and I had to put my feet on the driver's seat, my butt on the doghouse, and my head on the passenger seat with the pillow. You want to talk about uncomfortable. So the majority of my time, of course, paper logs. So we weren't having to. I wasn't having to do that for 10 hours, right? So, um, it wasn't until later he got a double bunk, but still, I slept better with the truck moving. A lot of these people that team, they can't drive, they can't sleep while the truck's in motion. I was able to do that. I was able to sleep in a truck in motion. Now, as a trainer, I never teamed. I was never, not one time in the bunk while the student was driving. Never ever. Don't have that kind of faith, right? But I would fall asleep with one of the more with the better trainees. I would kind of nod off in the passenger seat. So, um, and I would tell the student, well, that means I'm comfortable with you, and that's a good thing. But if I was constantly like, I had one trainee. Oh my gosh, this guy lasted a week. I think I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again because you guys don't have a good memory. So I have this gift of discernment, as Greg Zimmer calls it. And within a week of being in a truck, I can tell whether you got it or not. And I could tell that this guy was going to be a struggle. So at one point, now, every driver, if you're a coffee drinker, Pale Rider could probably attest to this. We have the skill set to pour coffee from a thermos into your mug while going down the road. Now, I don't recommend that. I've never done that. But it takes a certain kind of skill set to be able to do that, right? Don't be like that guy in that video where he's reaching over for I think a Bible on his dash and he ended up crashing the truck. You don't want to be that guy, right? So I'm in the passenger seat. He's driving. He's driving, and he starts reaching back for his thermos, right? I'm like, okay, he's getting ready to hand it to me. I'll pour his cup of coffee for him because I'm that kind of guy. I'm a nice guy. He starts trying to unscrew. He's like, while we're hitting the room, it's like, dude, what are you doing? I need a cup of coffee. Like, give me that. I'll pour your cup of coffee, dude. I'm right here, right? So I pour the cup of coffee for him. I'm watching him like a hawk as he's picking up the cup, because think about this. For all you new school CDL people, your first year, you're going to be like white knuckle, you're not comfortable at all. But then by the 5th year, you're like, you're eating a sandwich, texting on your phone, talking on the phone, you're looking at your map all at the same time. The old school guys, we don't look at maps anymore, right? Your Atlas is probably like from 2010. It's collecting dust under your seat there. So, anyways, and then he starts getting groggy. He hits the rumble strips a couple times. Like, dude, let's go up to pilot right up here, and we're switching. And then I called while we were switching. I went into the yard, or I went into the truck stop. I called my dispatch. Said, dude, we need to drop this load at the yard. Or come through the yard because I'm bringing this dude back. And they're like, okay. So I get to the yard. I go into safety. I'm like, look, man, I don't think we should put him in a truck. I know it's only been a week, but I don't think he's going to make it the next 6 weeks. I think that we need. I don't know. I don't have faith that this guy can make it. well, Steve, well, let's we don't want to cut ties just yet, so let's put him with a maybe it's a personality thing. I'm like, dude, we got along great, but we had one instance where we were coming up on the way station, and there was a truck coming off in the shoulder, and he was like, oh, I need to get over, or coming off the exit or entrance ramp, and he just doesn't even almost put a truck in the ditch behind us. And we switched that time too. So I think that was the same trip. I think that was the day before. So I wrote a 2-page thing because now I'm covering my ass, right? I put a 2-page thing of why this guy should be in a truck, how I don't recommend this dude be in a truck. This guy is not going to be a great driver. He is unsafe. He is unskilled. Da 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 da. So our training program was 6 weeks, or no, 8 weeks. Maybe it was 8 weeks. Well, he was counting the week with me. He did another 8 weeks. I think he did 9 weeks with the other trainer. And I talked to that dude. Like, so how's so and so doing? He's like, well, like that's a problem. Yeah, he'll be all right, probably. I'm like, no, it won't. Fast forward 3 months later, he cost the company $30,000 in damages trying to turn the truck around in one of those tractor pull-off spots on a 2-lane highway in Arkansas 7. Now, those of you who've been to Morrilton, Arkansas, you probably know the road that I'm talking about. Or if you've been from Springfield to Little Rock and you followed the GPS, you probably know that road, Arkansas 7, and you go, wow, there's nowhere to turn around on that road. And those tractor things have their drop-offs, right? So he scraped the tanks, caused a bunch of damage. They fired him on the spot. He's lucky that no one was coming around the corner and slammed into the truck. And so I was in the safety office going, you could have just written me a check for $30,000 if you wanted to just waste your money. I mean, come on now. I could use that 30 grand. Now you're giving it to Kenworth. Shame on you. And they just kind of like flipped me the bird. No, they were nice about it, but nobody listens. Nobody listens, right? So I'm not even sure where we were going with that story, but that's my story there. When I was 16, 17, speeding in Willard. Okay, so it's been 40 years. 30 years. 30 years. I do my best to show my life experience because I have many that others will never see or experience, right? Or am I playing guitar tonight? I don't know. I might. Do you want me to? It's like being able to pee in a bottle and drive down the road. No, I can honestly say I've never done that. No winking here. I've never done that. There's been times where I was tempted, but I have a pretty strong bladder, and I don't have that much confidence in myself. Because the last thing you want to do is have an accident with your stuff hanging out, with urine going everywhere, and then the officer's going to ask, "What were you doing at the time of the impact?" So no, that's we found an empty Gatorade bottle and it smelled horribly in that truck. What were you doing? Well, no, never. So never, ever. So. Now my bladder's probably not as strong now because anytime I need to pee, I can just get up and go to the bathroom. But in the truck, it's a little bit different. It's like, do I need to stop yet? We'll hold off for a minute. So probably not good for the health. So, but anyways, we've been at this for an hour, so I'm not a marathon live guy. So, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed your coffee. I'm almost done with this cup. This is a big mug. I looked for. Teespring doesn't have a 15-ounce mug option. I wish they did, but they don't. So you're just gonna have to deal with regular size mugs if you want a Snorelord mug. But we also have the travel mugs. I think they're 20 ounces. So I'm like some corporation, right? Right. Thanks for watching. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Peace.